Hello everyone, how are you folks doing? My name is Armando. In this video, I'm going to be talking about the rise and fall of sugar and the impact of sugar in Hawaii. It's a very interesting thing. Sugar has really impacted Hawaii in many ways, and it goes all the way back to the time that it was first introduced to Hawaii, by its first inhabitants in approximately 600 AD, around there. Hawaiians didn't have any written records or written language at that time, but it was observed by Captain Cook upon arrival in the islands in 1778. So sugar quickly turned into a big business. It generated a rapid population growth in the islands, with about 337,000 people immigrating in the span of the century. Now, a lot of these immigrants that came to Hawaii worked on the sugar plantations. The Chinese, the Japanese, Filipino, Korean, Portuguese, and with them they brought their cultures to Hawaii. So that's why, and today, it impacted Hawaii's culture very much. They kept their cultures and they brought it here, and in the food that we eat, and in many ways impacted our culture here. Now, another thing to note is they used to have different camps. Back in those days, back in the plantation days, they had the Japanese camp, the Chinese, Filipino, Portuguese, Spanish. They had different camps, plantations. The first sugar mill was established at the old sugar mill in Kohoa. And that was in 1835. That's on Kauai. 1 year later, and 8,000 pounds of sugar and molasses were shipped to the United States from that mill. By the 1840s, sugar plantations were set up throughout the entire Hawaiian Islands. And my grandfather also was involved in that, Edward Bailey. It's my great grandfather in Wailuku. He also got involved in setting up a sugar mill, Wailuku Sugar Mill, back in those days. But there were sugar mills all over the place. Now, sadly, the last sugar plantation in Hawaii closed in 2016. That was ending over 160 years of sugar production in the state. Now, going back to the native Hawaiians, they cultivated sugar and used it for their food, medicine, and building purposes. However, the method of processing sugar was introduced to the Hawaiian Islands in the early 19th century. The first sugar mill was actually created on the island of Lanai in 1802 by an unidentified Chinese man who returned to China in 1803. But the old sugar mill, established in 1835 by Ladd and Company, is the site of first sugar plantation. In 1836, the first 8,000 pounds of sugar and molasses were shipped to the United States. Okay. Now, the sugar grown and processed in Hawaii was shipped primarily to the United States and in smaller quantities globally. Sugarcane and pineapple plantations were the largest employers in Hawaii at that time. Today, sugarcane plantations are gone, production having moved to other countries. The reason for that is cheaper labor in those countries. Another thing, I have another video about the called the Hanapepe Massacre, which was on Kauai. Talked about the striking workers, and most of them were Filipino, and how 16 of them were killed and 4 policemen were killed in that incident in Hanapepe. So that was one of the things that happened with the sugar. Now, another thing I'd like to mention is the Reciprocity Treaty of 1876. Now, King Kalakaua, okay, at that time, signed the Reciprocity Treaty, and that Reciprocity Treaty brought great prosperity to Hawaii, because now Hawaii was able to ship the sugarcane to the United States tariff-free. But in turn, the United States established a naval base at Pearl Harbor. So that was the Reciprocity Treaty of 1876. And it was renewed, I think, in 10 years later or so, in 87. Now, in 1890, McKinley, with a tariff, he eliminated the duty-free status of the Hawaiian sugar. Okay? Now, sadly, another thing I want to mention to the history of the Hawaiian Kingdom is the Bayonet Constitution, which King Kalakaua was forced to sign, which, a lot of the rights are given to his cabinet and the legislature. And American businessmen were, he was actually forced at gunpoint to sign that. So a lot of the power of the monarchy was lost at that time. It disenfranchised a lot of Hawaiian voters. And so that was the Bayonet Constitution. So when he died, and Queen Liliuokalani became queen in 1891, she wanted to get rid of that, Bayonet Constitution, go back to restoring the rights of the kingdom, the monarchy, I should say, and the voting rights. And American businessmen were against that. And so in 1893, American businessmen, backed by uprising against Liliuokalani, that was from the Committee of Safety, overthrew Liliuokalani. And that's when the Republic was formed, right? And Sanford Dole was first president in 1894. So on the Hawaiian Islands, a group of Hawaiian or American sugar planters, I should say, under Sanford Dole, overthrew Queen Liliuokalani, the Hawaiian monarch, and established a new provincial government with Dole as president. In the coup, foreknowledge of John L. Stevens, who was minister to Hawaii at that time, and 300 U.S. Marines from the U.S. cruiser Boston were called to Hawaii, allegedly to protect American lives. So that was a sad day for Hawaii. Now, going back to that Reciprocity Treaty, it was renewed. The Reciprocity Treaty of 1976 was renewed, and in 1887, a U.S. naval base was established at Pearl Harbor as part of the new Constitution, the Hawaiian Constitution. Sugar exports to the United States expanded greatly during the next 4 years, and U.S. investors and American sugar plantations on the islands broadened their domination over Hawaii. theirs. However, in 1981, Liliuokalani, the sister of the late King Kalakaua, ascended to the throne, refusing to recognize the Constitution of 1887 and replacing it with the Constitution, increasing her personal authority. That's what happened back then. So all of it comes down to sugar, the sugar industry. Now, sadly, when it ended in 2016, the demise of the sugar industry, a lot of the land that was used for sugar was overgrown with invasive grass. It had dried up, it easily caused brush fires. And so I'm not surprised what happened in Lahaina, and it could happen in other areas too. But because of the demise of the sugar industry, a lot of these lands are left unattended. Now they were trying to, I think, replace with other products like coffee farms, and they're using other trying to go into plants. And Alexander and Baldwin closed down the sugar plantation. I think they were trying to look at other things to grow on these lands, some of these lands. But the land in Lahaina was just left unattended. And like I said, these invasive grass came there, it's grown there, and it dried up and caused brush fires. There are a lot of brush fires. And so that's what happened with that. But so when you ask the question, well, what is the impact of sugar in Hawaii? Tremendous. Number one, it brought a lot of employment to workers in Hawaii. But secondly, a lot of these workers were foreign, they were from other countries. So that was a tremendous impact in Hawaii, because now you had all these different cultures coming in. You had all these, and from Japan, the Japanese, they had I think it was like a 3-year contract. So they come here, they work for 3 years, save the money, and they could go back to Japan. A lot of them stayed. Same with the Chinese. A lot of them stayed. They opened businesses here in Hawaii, and they still have businesses to this day in Hawaii. Like I said, because of sugar, it all goes back to sugar. A lot of these cultural diversity of Hawaii was, impacted. And so now today we have all these different races. I grew up in my neighborhood, all with Japanese and Chinese. All my neighbors and friends growing up too, even in school. All different races. Hawaii is like a melting pot. And a lot of it goes to sugar. It's back to sugar. The sugar, on the positive side, it brought a lot of prosperity to Hawaii. Because of the profits. A lot of the profits are the landowners, but brought employment to the people. So it was a lot of good that came out of it. Plus, the U.S. established the naval base in Pearl Harbor. Like I said, the demise of it. Lahaina. You think back, Lahaina. They diverted a lot of the water for these sugar plants to grow the sugar. Now, Lahaina, my understanding is Lahaina used to be a wetland before. A long time ago, it used to be a wetland. Lots of water. And then a lot of this water, over time, everywhere, not just Lahaina, but everywhere, was diverted. And it kind of upset a lot of people, Hawaiians especially. Water, tallow, and these types of tallow farmers. And they're trying to restore a lot of that today, tallow farmers. So, that's the end result. No surprise what happened. And it's all because of sugar. So, like I said, there's a lot of pros and there's a lot of cons of how sugar impacted Hawaii. And and today it's all gone. And sadly, the town of Lahaina has been burnt down because of that. But you got to think back what caused all of these things. And the history. You have to look at the history of Hawaii and the sugar industry. Now, back when the sugar, what they used to do is they used to burn before the harvesting the sugar. They burn the sugar. A lot of smoke. A lot of people. I remember I talked to a lot of people in Maui, and they were really upset over that. The smoke. Every time they burned the sugar cane, and then they would harvest it. A lot of people were really angry about that, but so today a lot of people are now happy because they no longer do that. So the air is a lot cleaner, not polluted with all that smoke. But anyway, that's the so that was a bad side of it. So there's a sugar. Conclusion: sugar has a tremendous impact on Hawaii in many ways, and it's all gone today. But we're still feeling the effects, like I said, of the diversion of all that water, Lahaina and other places. Today it's impacting us. It's impacting us. We're feeling the effects of it. Well, anyway, I just hope you enjoyed this video, the history and the impact of sugar, the rise and fall of sugar, and the impact of sugar. All for watching, and ahoy ho.